are once again with the speed sensor taken out. Again, just had to remove the air intake, at least most of it, and then also had to remove the shifter cables and the shifter cable bracket just to be able to set it aside. I'm sorry for the messy tabletop here, but here is the original speed sensor, the one that I took apart in the last video and rebuilt, which did not work. And here is the speed sensor. I ordered one for a 1993 Honda Accord. They've got the same connector, and then they've also got kind of like the same, I don't know how well I can show you this, but the same outlet or inlet, I guess would be, that's supposed to sit on top. So hypothetically, and if I look at that, this has like spring to it, whereas this one does not. So I wonder if that's the issue. But the other issue is these will fit, but the brackets won't line up with the bolt holes. So apparently, I haven't tried to size this one up on there yet, but apparently you can get one of the bolts to go through. You just can't get both of them because they don't. These will line up, however, this won't line up. So this part that is crucial to go onto the lower part of the speed sensor to line that up correctly, these bolts no longer line up. So I'm gonna put this one in and see what I can get as far as a mounting bolt goes on this. I'm thinking it's gonna be one of these two, hopefully at least one. So after basically letting out all of my coolant, and I'm gonna have to refill it and bleed it, but I ended up taking the lower half of the speed sensor out. So that is what this looks like. If you guys remember back in the day on my about 2 manual transmissions ago, I was taking this out and this gear had fallen off into the transmission, and then I could never retrieve it, hoped for the best, and then eventually this thing caught on something and blew the transmission, blew a chunk through it. So that was a little bit of like post-traumatic from taking this out again, but I just took my time. But I ended up taking the coolant hose that sits over top of this off, so that way I could more easily get this out and without having to crank on it and risk dropping this in the transmission. So anyways, this is out of here. This is the old speed sensor, and the way this attaches is it sits right here on top of there and then lines up with these two holes here. Now take that off and we take the Accord sensor, still fits onto there, but doesn't line up with the holes on either side. So I'm not taking credit for this. Someone else, there's another video I watched that did this, but you take this bolt out and either add a longer bolt or add some just thread that goes basically, focus, through this all the way, and then you fill this space here with washers and then put a nut on top of it this side. So that way it basically just sits only on one bolt, which would be this one here. And hypothetically, that's enough to do the job. And the good thing is twisting this, normally it sits like this. Twisting it this way actually pulls it a bit further away from the coolant hose that runs over top of it. So that actually works in its favor. So I need to go out and either find a longer bolt or get some threaded, whatever that's called, just a threaded, I don't know. I just need to get a longer bolt that allows some threads to go to the top of this. So it's a new day. Here's what we got. Went to the hardware store and I picked up a longer bolt that goes through this point instead of the 2 original mounting points for the speed sensor. So it runs up through here, and then you can see it poking out here, 2 washers to space it out just so it sits nice and level, and then a nut on top, which I'm going to tighten everything down, but that should be all we need to do. And I may just run a zip tie through here just for whatever it's worth. And should be good to go back into the car. So I just finished up the install, and it was definitely a trial and error process. I ended up having to switch the side that I bolted the new speed sensor onto, so that way it moved it away from the shifter bracket, whereas before I couldn't put the shifter cable bracket on. So now it seems to be working. We finally, for the first time ever since me owning a 3rd gen Prelude, have a working speedometer reliably. At least so far, it hasn't hiccuped or anything like that, knock on wood. And the odometer is now counting Again, my trip meter is still not counting. It seems like it's just like the dial's stuck. So I'll have to still sort that out. But speedo's working, odometer's working, and I ordered a 1993 Honda Accord speed sensor. So for any of you guys struggling with this, it's a pain to do the install, but it does in fact work. Well, I managed to get the speedometer working, so that's kind of the biggest issue that was broken on this car when I first bought it, and now we can slowly but surely start to get on to more fun stuff. But this car is looking so good. Still been buffing it. I also put my window visors on it. I was thinking about painting them either white to match the car or maybe black, but they're kind of, they've got like a purple tinge to it because they're really old and they've been sitting out in the sun. And if anybody's wondering, because I do get this question, they are, let me see if I can get it to focus, made by WeatherTech. And no, you cannot get them anymore. So it'd be really cool if I could find somebody that can do some sort of like plasty, I don't know if you can 3D print those because they're so large, but it'd be really cool to find someone that could take those and maybe change them up a little bit so it's not like, copyright infringement, but be able to make new sets of those for the 3rd gen Prelude, because I know a lot of people would really be keen on picking some up. And then outside of that, though, I'm really happy with the way the car is coming along. I did order a bunch of maintenance stuff, new spark plug wires. I'm going to do the timing belt on this thing, water pump, and probably a valve adjustment and oil change, all that good stuff, fuel filter, air filter. That way I know it's all been done. And then now that the speedometer is working again, I can actually keep track of when it was done last and know how many miles it's been since it's last been done. So very happy with this. Got a few more maintenance items to take off, and then can jump onto the fun stuff, which will be coilovers, probably the KBD body kit on this thing, the rear windshield visor, wheels potentially, but no rush right now. Just want to get the car in as good of shape as possible and then start the mods. So look forward to that. I would also really love to get my hands on a factory spoiler. So if anybody has an extra spare one or, wants to get rid of one, let me know. I just want the OEM spoiler on this thing. I think they do change from the 88-89 to the 90-91, so preferably to keep it true OEM with the 1991 Prelude. I prefer to have the 90-91 spoiler, but I'm not going to be picky there. So still working on getting the windshield visor set up. Like I said, I wanted to get the maintenance done first. Fixing the speedometer was a big thing I wanted to have done, so that way, like I said, I can monitor the mileage since doing the rest of the maintenance, like the timing belt. That's going to be pretty key to know when I did it mileage wise, and then that way I can determine when I'm going to need to do it again, because with the speedo not working, my odometer was not counting. So very happy with the work done. Kind of a pain, so if you guys are gonna do the speed sensor swap with the Accord sensor, let me know down in the comments if you have questions, because it is a little bit tricky. However, you can get it done. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll keep you elevated. You keep elevating. I will keep you posted on maintenance and next steps for this thing, and we'll just keep rocking and rolling with the Prelude. But love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.